Today, NOPD Chief Sean Ferguson announced he's putting additional officers along Bourbon Street.
Now, Katie Paul Murphy reports the chief says officers are making arrests, but violent crime is on the rise across the city.
New Orleans top cop admits it's been a rough week and a half in the city.
We have seen a major uptick in violent crime, specifically homicides as well as shootings.
NOPD Superintendent Sean Ferguson says the busy Bourbon Street corridor has become a recent crime hotspot. 12 people have been injured by gunfire on Bourbon and nearby Canal Street over the past 7 weeks. A shooting wounded 5 people in the 300 block of Bourbon early Saturday morning. Ferguson says investigators have obtained a warrant to arrest a suspect in that shooting. And beginning this weekend, he announced there will be an increase in police activity on and around Bourbon Street.
This will not, and this shall not impact the rest of our communities throughout the city of New Orleans.
Superintendent Ferguson could not say how many additional officers would be patrolling Bourbon Street going forward, only that the department is committed to stepped up patrols day and night.
You will see additional staffing with regards to our monitor patrol, as well as additional lighting.
Crime stats show murders are up by about 27% and non-fatal shootings by 65% across the city compared to the same time last year.
Shalom, I give all undergoing praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. I give double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone. Salutations to our sincere Aki on pushing his word across the four corners of the world. And this is an article from NOLA.com, and the title says, Mental Stressors Pushing New Orleans Homicide Rate Above Normal, NOPD Chief says, and this was published on April the 28th, 2021. NOPD Superintendent Sean Ferguson has a theory why homicide numbers in New Orleans are up this year. The number of killings in the city is up by 27% over this time last year, he said. This week, he told the City Council Criminal Justice Committee that normal neighborhood feuds and the drug trade are no longer driving the city's murders. There are real stressors out there, psychological, mental stressors that have pushed this homicide rate above normal, Ferguson said. Meaning road rage, meaning stressors such as acquaintance arguments that have escalated to these violent acts. 9 people were shot in the city on Monday. 1 victim was killed and 8 others injured, including 2 children and an infant. That's on top of 10 homicides last week. Criminologist Dr. John Penny at Southern University in New Orleans says Ferguson's theory has some merit. He said New Orleans is a melting pot of social ills which can trigger mental illness and violent crime, like idleness, unemployment, undereducation, undersocialized, and just underprivileged and inequities. Penny said, there's just a whole lot of insanity around us right now, of mental health issues that are paralyzing the very sense of normalcy. Penny says trying to live a life without hope is dangerous. If you don't have a normal life, then you're going to go against the grain. That's what's going on right now, he said. And all this is the doings and purpose of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai working on that left hand, where they have put demonic spirits upon these people in America, known as Babylon the Great. And with this so-called pandemic that's going on, which caused a lot of people to lose their businesses, a lot of people lost their jobs, a lot of people lost their homes, a lot of people are in debt right now. So really a lot of these Americans don't know what's coming or what's going for them. So that right there alone is putting a lot of psychological drain and pressure upon these people that's making them be on the edge. And that's where these mental stressors are coming from. And really, it's just demonic energy upon these people that's controlled by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai to fulfill biblical prophecies. And let's get that in Isaiah 46:10. And it says, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel should stand. Meaning, the counsel is going into the prophecies of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Like, this is the movie. So a part of his movie has to play out. So it says, my counsel should stand. I will do all my pleasure. I mean, he's going to do all his will, all his agenda, his purpose. Because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, he's about his word. He stated in the book of Numbers, the 23rd chapter, that the Most High is not a man that he should lie. So he says he's going to do something, something is going to play out. It's going to play out the same exact course that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has already predestinated for it to play out. So my counsel should stand, and I will do all my pleasure. So let's see what's part of the Most High's counsel, his pleasure. And let's answer that in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, in the 3rd verse. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what should be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So the disciples is asking Yahushua, who is the savior of the nation of Israel, like what things was going to take place on this earth before your second debut. And let's see what Yahushua stated in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, the 12th verse. And because iniquity shall abound. So right now, as you see, wickedness is being more upon wickedness. Like wickedness is the new standard in this world, because as it says in Job 9:24, that the earth is given to the hand of the wicked, which is represented Esau, Edom, the so-called Caucasian race, beginning with the elites, because they push out the agendas, the policies, the different mandates, the rules that governs this world. So if Esau, Edom is already that vessel of dishonor, fitted for destruction, going to how he's the border of wickedness, then how much more the people that are under Esau, Edom, that actually worship this image of the beast. So that's why it says, and because iniquity shall abound, so a lot of things are getting bad, it's only going to get worse. Because at the end of this movie, you always have that climax. A lot of type of tension and activities goes on, and everything just be spiral up. So that's the type of spirit that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua wants this world to be in before Yahushua comes back. So it says, and because iniquity shall abound, meaning it's going to increase more and more, the love of many shall wax cold. And just notice how the homicide rates are increasing in the different cities of America. In particular, from this article, New Orleans. I know here in Jackson, Mississippi, the homicide rate is almost at 50, if not a little bit over it, which is a whole lot compared to this time last year. So it's up like 70%. What you get from this article, these so-called mental stressors, which is nothing but demonic energy that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is pouring out upon this earth to fulfill his will, his agenda, his purpose. And going back to the article, the criminologist Dr. John Penny, he stated that New Orleans is a melting pot of social ills, which can trigger mental illness and violent crime. And really, that's America in totality. Because a lot of these people, whether they know it or not, or whether they have been so-called diagnosed, they have mental illness, which cause these so-called mental stressors, which leads into these road rages. These people be driving and they get all earthed in the spirit. The next thing you know, they're arguing, they fighting. Then the next thing you know, they're drawing out guns upon one another, which leads into these different homicides in these cities, which is beautifully played out by Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, because these are nothing but demons upon these people, which are spirits being created for vengeance. And this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 39th chapter. We'll start at the 28th verse. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. So Yahweh Bashem Yahushua has that type of power. They can demand a demon or demons to possess a person and to have them to do wicked type of things to fulfill the agenda of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So when you see people be driving and they be driving all type of crazy ways and manners, those be spirits that be upon them, those demonic spirits, which are spirits that are created for vengeance. And that's why it's so significant to implement prayer, especially in these last days. When you have to go out about your business, you be driving on these highways, ask Yahweh Bashem Yahushua to protect you and have you make it safe to your destination. And once you do make it there, at the water, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Because what we're surrounded by is a force field of demonic people. So we definitely need that spiritual fortitude, that shelter to protect us in these last days. That's why it says in the book of Philippians, the 4th chapter, to make your request made known unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So you make a request, your petitions, your prayers, to ask him to guide you in the right manner, the right course, lead you in the right path. And it says, which in their fury lay on sore strokes, in the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. So that's really Yahushua, the top angel in the spiritual realm, giving out those orders and decrees for those spirits what to do. And you already know those spirits want to do anything within their power, their might, to please Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So they be like, pick me, pick me. They come up with all type of creative ideas, because those are those spirits that are being created for vengeance. And just to prove that, I'll jump down to verse 31. They shall rejoice in his commandment, meaning they're going to rejoice in the commandment of the Heavenly Father Yahweh through his son Yahushua. Because Yahushua really orders and decrees the judgments in the spiritual realm for everything to be played out on the earth. Which leads to with Revelation, the 5th chapter, When the angels ask who is worthy to open the book and loose the seals, and later on in that chapter it says, blessing, honor, glory, power unto him that sitteth on the throne and unto the Lamb forever and ever. That's talking about to Yahweh Shai. So he has that dominion in the spiritual realm for these judgments to be played out on the earth. So that's why these angels on the left hand, on the right hand, they rejoice in his commandment. And you go into the word vengeance, it goes into to inflict and punishment to an extreme degree. So that's why it says right here, they should rejoice in his commandment. They should be ready upon earth when need is. And when their time is come, they should not transgress his word. So those spirits on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side are all for the commandments of the only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. So these people are bugging out right now in this situation when things are so-called going normal. How much more when the dollar collapses? How much more when it's no food out there in the grocery stores, no water? When that type of mindset or spirit gonna be out there, get it by all means. Survival of the fittest. So these are those mental stressors right now, and Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai just increasing it more and more. Because as it says in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, how iniquity should be abound, and the love of many shall wax cold. So that's putting a lot of tension and pressure upon these people to fulfill the prophecies of Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai. And let's get that in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, and jump down to the 12th verse. It says, Egypt shall mourn. So Egypt is referencing America. America is spiritual Egypt. And the foundation of it should be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High should bring upon it. And we read a couple of those plagues that's going to happen to America. With the love of many being waxed cold, how iniquity should be abound. So it's going to be more wickedness upon more wickedness. Things are going to get more awkward here because these things has to play out before the Heavenly Father Yahweh sends his only begotten Son Yahweh Shai to bring that judgment upon this place. So you can just expect things are going to get more crazier in the spirit, more negative, more on a low frequency. Verse 13, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting of hell and with a fearful constellation. That's going to these farmers. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. So that means destruction, agony, pain, distress upon these people. Because you still have these different protocols and mandates regarding this so-called pandemic with the mask. And a lot of these Americans are getting fed up with it. It's like they're getting pushed to a corner. So if you keep cornering a dog for a long period of time, it's going to end up biting you. Hence this title of the article, mental stressors, which goes into that psychological drain. These people are getting worn out. For the sword and the destruction draw nigh, and one people should stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So this is going to those class wars. It also can go into these race wars as well. You have the liberals against the conservatives, the Democrats against the Republicans, vice versa. And all this is set up by Esau Edom, begin with these elites. So how these things will play out on the earth. A lot of people are getting more upset in the spirit by these so-called police shootings, which are really false flags, just to get a reaction out of these people. So these things can be more enacted. And that's really Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai being that battery pack in the back of these elites to fulfill this agenda so Yahweh Shai can get things rolling. Verse 16, for there should be sedition among men, meaning insurrections, rebellions, revolts, and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions should stand in their power. So like I stated earlier, that a lot of these Americans are getting fed up with this system. So how much more when the American dollar collapses, there's no type of food, water out here. You will have these truckers on strike. A lot of things are going to get really ugly here. So these people will get fed up with this government system, along with these government officials, with the senators, the governors, the mayors, these different councilmen, and all these people are tied with the government officials, and they're going to start going against them. And that's going to lead to a lot of bloodshed. Because these Americans are going to be thinking that they had a plot in the downfall of America, but not spiritually knowing that it's really the agenda of these elites that actually run this society, but much more, it's really the agenda, purpose, and the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai. Going right back to the book of Isaiah, the 46th chapter and 10th verse, how it says that my counsel should stand. Verse 17, a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able. So this is going to when all hell breaks loose in America. You're going to have these different military troops enacting martial law, where you're going to have checkpoints that maneuver into different parts of the city. Verse 17, a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able. So you see the slower stages right now, because as we always go through the spirit by gradualism. So right now, Esau is doing it with this so-called vaccine, with the jab. You're not being able to go to another country unless you might be vaccinated, or you might have to get the testing just in order for you to travel to another country. But this really going to be fulfilled when America really collapses on all types of levels. And that's when these military troops are going to be enacting martial law, where they're going to be having checkpoints. In order for you to be able to maneuver through different parts of the city, you have to be microchipped, which is the mark of the beast according to the book of Revelation 13 chapter. So it says a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able. So those are going to those military checkpoints. And you have a lot of movies or shows on Netflix right now where it mirrors this prophecy right here. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the city should be troubled, and America is very known for their pride. As it says in the book of Isaiah, the 26th chapter, how that lofty city and how the Most High is going to bring it down low. That's speaking about America. So Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, he wants that type of energy from these Americans so it can be increased on a very high level just for Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai to showcase his power. And he going to bring it down real low, just like he did Pharaoh back in ancient Egypt. So we in that time period right now that Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, he's bringing America down to that very lowest state. Begin with the elites of Esau, Edom, their counterparts, these other nations, and 2/3 of our people that do not want to accept Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai in the way of repentance. So it says, for because of their pride, the city should be troubled, and the houses should be destroyed, and men should be afraid. So there's going to be trouble with those mental stressors, homicide rates, people going to one another's houses, breaking in and entering. Then that burglar or burglars or those looters might see a female in their house that they see some type of likening to them. So what you think is going to happen to those particular women? They're going to rape them. It says in the prophecy of Isaiah the 13th chapter how their houses should be spoiled and their wives ravished, which is another term for rape. So you can see through the spirit how these mental stressors are going to be more increased, more intensified. These people are going to be really bugged out here, where they're not going to regard children, old women, old men, or that's a woman. That type of vibration is going to be gone because those heavy demonic spirits are going to be upon these people, especially these different looters. You're going to have a lot of these men coming out of prison. You know, a lot of them already bugged out. So just think of the type of society that we're about to get ready to head into. Verse 19, it says, a man should have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy their houses with the sword. So going back to that survival of the fittest mentality out here. Whereas in the past, you might have a certain neighbor was cool with this other neighbor. They'll probably drink, go to a game together or watch a game. Their children probably played together, probably went to school together. Their wives probably went to each other's houses, cooked, things of that sort. But when it's that type of mindset, every man for himself or for his loved ones or his family, then that neighbor is not going to have no type of pity or no type of sorrow for the other neighbor. He's going to get it by all means. It says, but should destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation, which is the times that we're coming into. And for 2/3 of our people that don't want to get right with Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, that's going to be that time of Jacob's trouble, a time of distress, agony, pain for the ones of our people that don't want to accept Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Because it's going to be a great famine out here, which is going to be controlled by Esau, Edom, because right now they have the control of the food supply. So Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai is going to put the spirit upon them to cut off their food supply. And these Americans are going to be in that animalistic type of behavior because they don't have no type of food, no shelter, no water. So just imagine the mindset of these people in these streets that's not being truly governed by Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai on that right-hand side. So Lord willing, as us, the hopeful elect, we're going to be protected. So that concludes this lesson. From NOLA.com, it says mental stressors pushing New Orleans homicide rate above normal, NOPD chief says. And like I stated earlier, that's really just across the different cities of America, because that's the type of spirit or vibration that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is pouring out here on that left-hand side. So Lord willing, with that, you all edified, you all stay strong. Shalom.
That's when there were significant COVID-19 restrictions in place. Yesterday, I spoke with Suno criminologist Dr. John Penny about what's driving this increase in violence.
We have a number of people right now in the community who are totally uninvolved in anything gainful. They are beat out of school, employment, entertainment, or whatever. Those things are not necessarily there anymore. So people find time to engage in other kinds of activities.
Chief Ferguson expects crime to possibly increase over the summer months. 84-year-old Rose McGowan in the Desire neighborhood worries there are not enough police officers to protect her community from violent criminals.
But summer's coming, and they coming, and no police.
Ferguson says the department is working on a summer deployment strategy. He revealed the NOPD is now down to 1,140 officers. That's about 500 fewer than they had just 10 years ago. Paul Murphy, Eyewitness News.